At number 10, Mike Caussin. I stand by the saying, once a cheater, always a cheater, and so do a lot of other people who've been in failed relationships. Once your partner does you wrong, it takes a lot to regain that trust, and sometimes after a bond is broken, it can never be mended. This seems to have been the case with football player Mike Caussin and his wife, singer and actress Jenna Kramer. The couple faced a cheating scandal back in 2016, and after that they spent the next few years trying to work on their marriage, trying to reconcile after this drama affected them so greatly, but the couple recently called it quits on their marriage when Jenna took to social media in late April to announce their divorce. Her message to the public read, quote, "It's time. As I try to make sense of a reality I never wanted to believe could be possible again, those words have now become a reality. I've fought, y'all. I've loved hard. I've forgiven. I've put the work in. I've given everything I have, and now I have nothing else to give." End quote. The couple briefly split following the cheating scandal I mentioned before, where Mike's secrets were exposed, and though they were able to make amends to try and work on regaining their bond, things just weren't meant to work out in the long term, it seems. In her filings, Jenna also cited the causes and reasons for their divorce, saying that, quote, "Inappropriate marital conduct, irreconcilable differences, and adultery were the reasons behind their failed marriage." At number 9, Bill Gates. When news first broke of Bill and Melinda Gates' divorce, it came as a shock to a lot of people, but once more information started to come out about Melinda's side of the relationship, people got to see that the divorce was fueled by a lot of Bill's actions. We have been finding out about how unhappy Melinda was in her marriage, but it turns out that the tipping point in the couple's marriage came after Bill started getting a little too close to Jeffrey Epstein. Information has come out suggesting that Melinda had made the decision to begin the divorcing process in 2019 after a report by the New York Times had linked Bill and Jeffrey. Melinda had previously warned Bill about Epstein and his business when they first met back in 2013. However, despite her forewarnings, Bill allegedly continued to meet with Epstein, later leading him to getting exposed for their friendship when Epstein was arrested in 2019. Melinda allegedly wanted to get out of her marriage as soon as she realized that Bill was in too deep with Epstein because she knew that their connection would end badly and she did not want to deal with that. If Bill hadn't gotten so close to Epstein, maybe things would have been different. Now, before we carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also head on over to my gaming channel Viper Girl if you're interested in gaming content, because I have lots of fun stuff going on over there and you don't want to miss it, so go check it out and subscribe while you're there. At number 8, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Cheating scandals can be a huge deal among celebrities, and this next one is kind of chaotic and very messy. Basically, actor and former governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was caught in a very messy and high-profile cheating scandal that not only brought life into the world, but also ruined relationships. In 1997, Arnold had an affair with the family's former housekeeper Patty, and she soon became pregnant with his son. At the very same time, his wife was also expecting their 4th kid. As if the universe was wanting to make things extra spicy for Arnold, both his wife and mistress ended up giving birth within 5 days of each other, though they wouldn't find out about this until about a decade later. Much like all secrets, they have to come out eventually, and Arnold ended up coming clean to his wife about his affair in 2007. This information wasn't immediately shared with the public until 2011, where things blew up. Arnold revealed his infidelity to the public after announcing that he and his wife Maria were separating, while also revealing the truth about his kid with his mistress. This scandal hit his family really hard, and it ruined many of his relationships.
And at number 7, Britney Spears and Jason Alexander. Britney Spears and her childhood friend Jason Alexander got married and then divorced in a record 55 hours. The split didn't come as a shock to those that knew the full story though. What happened was that both of them traveled to Las Vegas to celebrate New Year's Eve, and they decided to meet up well there, along with a few of their other friends. The pair were not planning on getting married because they weren't even dating at the time, but things changed very fast, and at the end of the night they were married in a Vegas chapel. But the very next day, Spears filed for an annulment. The reasoning was that Spears, quote, lacked understanding of her actions and she was incapable of agreeing to the marriage.
At number 6, Joe Exotic. Wondering what's going on with Joe Exotic? Probably not, but I'll tell you anyway. After rising to fame last year following the Tiger King documentary, some people decided to check in on Joe Exotic from time to time, even though he's behind bars. Joe was sent to prison for his crimes, including his attempt at ending the life of his rival, Carol Baskin, as well as animal endangerment. In the docuseries, we also learned about Joe's personal life, including his relationship with his husband Dylan Passage. Dylan was one of the few men that Joe was married to, but now we're learning that a long-distance relationship from behind bars isn't the healthiest, as Joe and Dylan have announced their divorce. Dylan told sources that things have been very difficult to maintain when your partner is in jail for the next 20 years or so, and so they made the decision to end their marriage. If Joe didn't commit the crimes that he did, then maybe things would have been different and he would still be married. Joe has said that Dylan was helping him get through his time in prison, so now it seems like he'll be going it alone. At number 5, Tom D'Agostino. Even though she was warned about Tom and his infidelity Real Housewives of New York cast member Luann D'Agostino went through with her marriage to her now ex-husband, and she regrets it because their marriage was destroyed almost instantly. After getting married in a New Year's wedding in 2016, at the end of the Real Housewives 8th season, it was revealed that one of the cast members had compromising photos of Tom kissing another woman just days after his and Luann's engagement party, literally just a little while before they officially got married. Soon it became apparent to the public that there was some serious problems in their relationship as Luann and Tom got into a heated argument at a restaurant, which ended with Luann slapping Tom across the face. This heated relationship and Tom's constant cheating never subsided, as days before their divorce announcement, Tom was caught with another woman, but at that point, no one was really surprised. They were only married for 7 months, and those were the craziest 7 months of their lives. This marriage kept getting more and more destroyed the more that Luann found out about what Tom had been doing in secret. To find that out about your partner must be so heartbreaking. At number 4, Eminem. Rapper Eminem, aka Marshall Mathers, has had a rocky relationship with his ex-wife Kim Scott, and it's sort of been that way since the very beginning. They met in the late 80s when Marshall was 15 and Kim was 13, and they became pretty dependent on each other. They lived together at his family home, later beginning a romantic relationship, moving in together, and having a daughter. After years of being an on-again, off-again couple, the two got married shortly before Marshall's first major tour. It was then that Kim saw Marshall and their relationship as imperfect, and she started to doubt whether she wanted this type of life for herself. Kim said that after the tour, Marshall got a big ego and he started treating her as someone that was not worthy of his love and presence because he was a big star. Kim also alleged that her husband had been cheating on her. The rapper's career had a very negative effect on their relationship, and so 2 years after tying the knot, they divorced. Maybe Eminem wasn't ready to handle the fame he was getting, and that's what affected the relationship, but the bottom line here is that Kim didn't like how he had changed and how she was being treated, so she left.
And at number 3, Kid Rock and Pamela Anderson. Many thought these two would be a match made in heaven because model and rocker couples were very common at that time. However, this was not the case, and the couple split after 4 months together. At the time, there were lots of rumors speculating what went wrong. One rumor that got a lot of attention said that they split because Anderson was in the Borat movie and Kid Rock was jealous. But Kid Rock actually revealed on the Howard Stern show that money disputes and family drama were the real reason for the split. Years later, when asked if the former couple kept in touch, Kid Rock said, quote, "Not really. If I saw her somewhere, I'd say hi, but I try not to go in the same circles. I touched the stove was hot, and I think I'm not gonna touch the stove anymore."
At number 2, Jay-Z. Even the biggest celebrity couples have their problems. Take Beyonce and Jay-Z for example. Though this couple is seen by many as a Hollywood power couple, always standing by each other's sides, even they have had their troubles with infidelity. It all started when Solange and Jay-Z got into that big elevator fight at the Met. There was a lot of drama surrounding that fight because no one really knew what provoked it until word came out saying that it was because Jay-Z had cheated. Though no one really acknowledged or spoke about this apparent infidelity, things got worse when Beyonce low-key exposed her husband's infidelity on her album Lemonade, where she made several subtle and not so subtle comments on her husband's alleged affair. Jay-Z had to respond with his music where he apologized to his wife for his infidelity and addressed some of their relationship issues. After all this drama both in and out of the music world, they were able to seek out couples therapy and rebuild their relationship, but for a while there, things looked bad and Jay-Z had pretty much destroyed the relationship for a bit. And finally, at number 1, Kanye West. Kanye has been through a lot lately. He lost the presidential race and now he's lost his marriage. Kim and Kanye's relationship looked like it had been on his last life for a while, especially after all of that drama between Kanye and the Kardashians following his presidential campaign rant and Twitter meltdowns. There was, however, a lot more going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about. Apparently, there came a point where things just became too complicated and too toxic to handle. Kim talked about some of the rocky things that happened with her and Kanye towards the end, like how he spent much of his time away from his family in Wyoming and how the communication was at an all-time low. There was also reports that Kim and Kanye were fighting a lot, and there was also a rumor that Kanye had tried to sleep with another woman while married to Kim. According to the reality star, Kanye also didn't really want to contribute to fixing the relationship, even though they both knew that things weren't working anymore. So maybe if he had just put more effort in, things would have been different.
Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is Sophia Bush. One Tree Hill fans were absolutely thrilled when she got married to her former co-star Chad Michael Murray. They were on-screen lovers, so when they began dating in real life too, fans thought it would be like the perfect love story that we all hoped for, like me especially. They ended up getting married at a very young age, Sophia being 22 and Chad being 23 at the time. but they ended up separating just 5 months after getting married. Their split was a big dramatic scandal because reports claimed that Chad had cheated on her with Paris Hilton while they were filming the horror movie House of Wax. Sophia has talked about it in recent years and said they were young and had no business getting married in the first place. She also said she felt a lot of pressure from production for them to get married. She said the producers often pushed them to be together for the sake of the show, and a big reason why she went through with the marriage was because she felt that she would let the producers down, and also the fans. It was a short-lived marriage, but the worst part was they had to work on the show together for years after they got divorced. That'd be so awkward. Up next, number 9, we have Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphrey. It's hard to say which one of them regretted the marriage more, so I'm gonna put both of them because it seems pretty mutual. Their relationship and wedding was highly documented on her reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Their relationship moved very quickly. They were only publicly together for a few months before he proposed, and then engaged for just 90 days before they tied the knot. During the time, many people thought it was just for the reality show and the fact that they were getting their own special event called Kim's Fairy Tale Wedding, a Kardashian event. Their wedding aired and ratings were very high, obviously. It earned them 4.4 million viewers the first night and then 4 million the second night. But Kim and Kris had their issues, which we saw on the TV show, if you watched it. After just 72 hours of marriage, Kim filed for divorce for irreconcilable differences and listed the separation date as the date that she filed it. Like, she wanted it to immediately be put in place. She later admitted that yes, she loved Kris, but that she got caught up in everything else that came with it, like the media and the money. Kris later responded to her legal papers and claimed that their 72-hour marriage was based on fraud and that Kim was trying to boost the ratings for their family TV show at the time. Their divorce was finalized in 2013, 2 years after she filed it. It was a very long legal battle, to say the least. Sliding into number 8, we got Miley Cyrus. There is no denying the love between Miley and her ex-husband, Liam Hemsworth. They were actually together for over a decade on and off. They were engaged twice before tying the knot officially back in December of 2018. Maybe regret isn't the right word when it comes to their marriage, but Miley opened up about the reasoning for their divorce and revealed that she got married for the wrong reasons. She loved him and said that she still does and always will, but admitted that their marriage was a distraction. Their decision to get married came after they tragically lost their home in the Malibu wildfires. She explained that she lost everything inside her home and that she filled that void with their relationship. She told Howard Stern, I quote, "I lost everything. I just clung to what I had left of that house, which was me and him." But after getting married, she quickly realized that there was just too much conflict in their relationship and that it was not what they wanted. They got divorced officially just 7 months after being married, and she released a song called What the F Do I Know? And one of the lyrics is, I quote, "Maybe getting married just to cause a distraction," which just confirmed the things that she said in her interview.
At number 7, Eddie Murphy and Tracy Edmonds. Comedian Eddie Murphy had his quarrel with love. After a number of failed relationships, he thought he found the one when he met producer Tracy Edmonds. They dated for a few months before getting engaged, eventually leading to a lavish $500,000 wedding in Bora Bora. You know things are getting serious when you take it all the way to Bora Bora. Their wedding, which was attended by 25 people, wasn't technically legally binding, but they had planned to go through the whole process upon getting back to the United States after their ceremony, but unfortunately that didn't end up happening. It is said that things started to go downhill quite quickly after the ceremony, as people reported Eddie being standoffish and not wanting to spend time with his new bride. Other guests who stayed on the island after the ceremony reported that they could hear Eddie and Tracy yelling at each other fighting, which ended with Tracy in tears. Just 2 weeks after the wedding, they decided that marriage just wasn't for them and they called it quits.
Rolling into number 6, we have Russell Brand. In more recent interviews, Katy Perry and Russell have said that they do not regret their marriage with one another. But it was not always this way. They got married in 2010, which lasted 14 months before they called it quits. Well, him. When they first split, Russell did not have very nice things to say about her or their relationship, and his opinions stayed that way for a few years. In his 2015 documentary called Brand: A Second Coming, he said their short-lived marriage ended because of fame and said that she was the kind of person that he hated. He said, "I'm associated with the very thing I detest. Vapid, vacuous, plastic, constructed, mindless celebrity." Quite the thing to say about someone that you once loved. But his opinion and view on the marriage has softened up in the last 5 years. He now says that he looks at their experience more fondly now and said that he feels warm towards her, calling her an extraordinary woman. As for Katie, she has always been firm on the fact that she does not regret getting married to him and claims to have loved him very much. And if you haven't heard this story, it was actually Russell's decision to end the marriage. He actually texted her that he wanted a divorce on December 31st, 2011. A text message. Halfway through our list, number 5 is Jeremy Renner and Sonny Pacheco. You may not have known that the actor was even married because they got married quietly just over a year ago. But less than a year after they quietly tied the knot, his then wife filed for divorce and cited the reasoning as fraud. But she actually meant fraud. They were married for 10 months and things got messy very quickly. In the court papers, Sonny demanded that he return her passport, which she claims was stolen, as well as her birth certificate and her social security card. She cites irreconcilable differences as the reason for the split and says their prenuptial agreement should be violated because it is based on fraud. On top of that, she's also asking for physical custody of their daughter Ava, as well as spousal support, use of their Range Rover, and for Jeremy to pay for her moving expenses and her rent. Her court documents have a lot to say, but the actor has remained quiet since their split. That is one messy split. In the number 4 spot is Chris Judd. The dancer was actually married to Jennifer Lopez back in 2001, but revealed why it did not last very long. The two of them fell in love while on set of her video Love Don't Cost a Thing back in 2001. They moved very quickly also, getting married just 1 month of being engaged. Their marriage lasted 9 months and not longer than that because of the famous lifestyle. He explained what tore them apart and said that it was tough to be in that kind of limelight. He said, "Your privacy is breached. You're no longer a normal person. Our wedding was a circus. I think several people got arrested trying to climb up a mountain trying to sneak in." The famous lifestyle of hers just bothered him, but when asking why they split, he simply says that it just did not work out. But things got a bit sticky in 2006 when J-Lo sued him, claiming that he demanded $5 million to keep him from publishing a book containing private details about her and their past relationship. So it might be safe to say that she has some regrets too.
At number 3, Kaylee Cuoco and Ryan Sweeting. Sometimes when you hear about someone talking about divorce, saying that their partner became a stranger after the wedding, it can be hard to hear. I couldn't imagine how bad I would feel to wake up next to someone who's changed like that. This unfortunately was the case with Big Bang Theory actress Kaylee Cuoco after her first marriage to her ex-husband Ryan Sweeting. The two got married in 2013, but after 21 months together, Kaylee filed for divorce. After their split, Kaylee opened up about her relationship with the former tennis player, saying that her experience with him ruined marriage for her and saying, quote, "I honestly thought I wouldn't get married again. My ex ruined that word for me. I married someone the first time who completely changed," end quote. She also went on to say that early on in her marriage, she felt as though something was wrong and that things were feeling off. Luckily, she's moved on and has since remarried, but her relationship with Sweeting is probably something that Kaylee regrets.
Sniping the number 2 spot is Mario Lopez and Ali Landry. I'm not sure who regrets it more. Maybe Mario because he cheated on her days before their wedding, or Ali because he cheated on her days before their wedding. They were only married for 2 weeks before they called it quits because rumors had surfaced that he had cheated on her. In his memoir titled Just Between Us, he admitted to cheating on her at his bachelor party and said that's what made him realize he wasn't in love with her like he thought he was. He said he went on to marry her because he felt that it was too late at the time to split up at that point. Ali didn't know about the infidelity before they got married and said she believed him when he lied and said that he did not cheat. Mario also went into details in his book about how Ali apparently changed into an image-obsessed model and pressured him into proposing to her. So it seems like the wedding wasn't something that he ever really wanted. So, In our number 1 spot, with not much surprise, is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Maybe they didn't regret it in the beginning, but I guarantee they are regretting it now more than ever. You might argue which one of them regrets it more based on whose side of the story you believe, but their divorce has to be one of the worst ones in Hollywood history. It led to a highly documented lawsuit that has been damaging to both of their careers and probably their bank accounts. They first met back in 2009 on the set of The Rum Diary, but did not start dating until 2012. In 2014, Amber was spotted wearing an engagement ring, and then things seemed to be going very good for them at that time. The following year, they got married in a private ceremony at their home in LA, but the marriage only lasted 1 year. In 2016, Amber filed for divorce and accused him of physical abuse. She filed a temporary restraining order against him, and they settled a $7 million settlement outside of court. That could have been the end to everything, as the divorce was finalized in 2017, but here we are 3 years later. I'm not going to get into the details of this current lawsuit because I think we can all understand why they both have regrets about their marriage for their own reasons.
At number 10, Alex Rodriguez. Now, even though they weren't technically married, Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez still had the intention of doing so. That is until things got messy and Alex was caught cheating in a huge scandal. We don't know for certain why Alex and J.Lo broke up after all this time, but we can imagine that the cheating scandal definitely played a part in the relationship's demise, destroying their dreams of getting married. Cheating scandals aren't anything new for the baseball player, having been accused of infidelity in the past, but this new scandal might have been the one where J.Lo has said enough is enough. In January of this year, Alex was accused of cheating on J.Lo with reality star Madison LaCroix. This rumor started circulating after LaCroix was accused of having an alleged affair with a former MLB player, and this was brought up during a taping of a reality reunion show. Shortly after the taping aired, these allegations escalated, with Madison admitting to having been in contact with A-Rod. She insisted that their communications were innocent, saying that they never met up and never had any physical contact, saying, quote, "He's never physically cheated on his fiancée with me," end quote. The only solid proof that we have of A-Rod being in contact with Madison comes from a close source to Alex, who told sources that he had slid into Madison's DMs and that they had exchanged some, quote, "thirsty photos." Not long after this all went down, A-Rod and J.Lo announced their breakup and called off their engagement, effectively destroying the marriage before it could even happen. At number 9, Gary Owen. Imagine throwing 20 years of marriage out the window. Well, that's essentially what Gary Owen did after his wife Kenya Duke found out that he had been cheating. Kenya Duke filed for divorce in March of this year, making allegations that her husband had been unfaithful in their marriage. After news broke of their divorce filing, Kenya took to her Instagram to imply that her husband had an affair with a woman from Dallas, someone who was mutual friends with Gary and reality star Claudia Jordan. In a now deleted Instagram post, Kenya sent a message to the other woman, whom she lovingly calls Dallas, Texas, saying, quote, "Dallas, Texas, I have your info. I'm going to deal with you in a minute. I'm a little busy right now. You can have him, but you can't disrespect me and my kids in the process." At Gary Owen Comedy, let her know a storm is coming. You should know better. Married, not separated. Married, end quote. But Kenya wasn't done clapping back, because she also followed up this message with one that was meant for her husband, where she said, quote, "All the energy you spent lying, acting, and creating a fake narrative for these women that want to be me, you could have done it with a veggie burger and a glass of fake filtered water," end quote. Other than what's being said on social media, their divorce seems to be being taken care of privately, so as far as I know, this Dallas, Texas person hasn't been exposed, but one thing is for sure, this marriage is well and truly destroyed. Now, before I carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also take some time to check out my gaming channel Viper Girl if you're interested in Minecraft content. I've got lots of fun things going on over there, so come check it out and subscribe while you're there. At number 8, Offset. Now, before you come at me saying, well Brie, Cardi and Offset are still together, I know that, but because of all the drama that these two have had in the past during their marriage, and the fact that they almost got divorced, I think it's safe to say that things at one point had been destroyed, and it's honestly kind of debatable whether things are actually okay now or not. Though they've been married for over 3 years and have a daughter together, that apparently hasn't stopped Offset from seeking comfort elsewhere. As I mentioned, Cardi even filed for divorce from Offset in 2020 because of his infidelity, though they later later got back together after he spoiled her for her birthday, buying her a $300,000 car and dedicating a billboard to her. Offset has had a number of cheating scandals over the course of his relationship with Cardi B. In 2018, about a year after the couple first got married in secret, Offset faced rumors that he had cheated on Cardi and even made an adult film with another woman. Back in 2020, he faced more cheating allegations where it was rumored that he even fathered a child during this affair. A lot of people say that this is a toxic relationship, but they keep coming back to each other, and Cardi is currently pregnant with their second child. Things seem to be rocky, but we'll just have to wait for the next cheating scandal to come along, I guess. At number 7, Jesse James. If you've ever been cheated on, then you know how awful it is. Finding out that your partner has been unfaithful is always heartbreaking, but finding out that it happened multiple times is a feeling that I honestly couldn't imagine. Serial cheating is something that greatly affected Jesse James and drag racer Alexis DeJouria's relationship after it was discovered that there was a lot of secrets being kept and a lot of infidelity. After a very messy cheating scandal, Jesse and Alexis ended their relationship after 7 years together. This breakup was really chaotic for the both of them because it was revealed that Jesse had cheated on his wife with at least 20 different women. According to some sources, Jesse would sneak many women into his house, as well as fly women out to Austin where he lived to hook up with them in hotel rooms. It was also reported that even after everything Jesse did, Alexis tried to work things out with him, but he wasn't interested in making things work with her. Cheating is always the one way to completely destroy your relationship with someone, and Jesse is known for doing this since he also had a similar scandal with Sandra Bullock while they were together. At number 6, Corey Bowen. Now this is an example of how you destroy not only a marriage, but people's lives as well. For the Hills star Audrina Patridge and BMX athlete Corey Bowen, their relationship was downright toxic. After about 7 years of dating, the couple got engaged in November of 2015 and were soon married by the following year after welcoming their daughter Kira into the world. But the happy days of marriage didn't last long, and by 2018 their marriage had been destroyed and they were done with each other and the legal battle began. Audrina alleged in court that Corey was violent towards her, and leading up to their official divorce, Audrina had been granted a restraining order, preventing Corey from being within 100 feet of his wife and daughter. Audrina claimed that Corey had been very aggressive towards her on multiple occasions and that she just couldn't take it anymore. Luckily, she was able to get out of that abusive relationship and probably regrets getting into it in the first place. I hate hearing about stories like this where a partner hurts another like this. It is heartbreaking and should never happen to anyone.
Halfway number 5, Eddie Murphy and Tracy Edmonds. This is one of the weddings that family and friends were pretty sure was not going to last based on the couple's interaction before the wedding. This one honestly reminds me a lot of Kim Kardashian and Kris Humphries. The couple decided to wed on a private island off Bora Bora on New Year's Day in 2008, but sources later told People magazine that the couple was in shambles leading up to the wedding. The source said, quote, Eddie started yelling at Tracy in front of people. He did it on a few occasions, and it was very embarrassing. 2 weeks after the rocky ceremony, they announced that they were splitting. They also claimed the wedding was only a symbolic union, not a legally binding marriage in the United States. I guess that made things a lot easier.
At number 4, Chad Johnson. Chad Johnson and ex-wife Evelyn Lozada were only married for 2 months, but so much happened in that short amount of time to permanently damage their relationship and destroy their marriage. Their relationship was intense, but it wasn't until after they were married that the world learned just how intense it was. After dating for less than a year, the two were wed in a 4th of July ceremony in 2012, but just 2 months later there came an incident that broke them forever. Evelyn recalled finding a receipt in Chad's car that prompted the idea that Chad was cheating. The two fought and it ended with Chad seriously injuring his wife. Chad had been arrested for battery and domestic violence, and they ended up getting divorced shortly after the incident. Evelyn later did an interview about the ordeal where she opened up about her feelings on the situation, and the two have gone their separate ways since. Violent behavior is never the answer and is certainly a one-way ticket to destroying your relationship for good. At number 3, Jude Law. Jude Law was involved in a cheating scandal in the early 2000s that destroyed his marriage to Sienna Miller and left a lot of people a little taken aback. After getting engaged in 2004, Jude Law was exposed for cheating on his fiancée with a woman named Daisy Wright. In 2006, Daisy, the nanny for Jude's children, came forward about how she and Jude were allegedly having an affair. She ended up spilling the beans on their entire relationship in an interview she did with the Sunday Mirror, and she went in depth about her affair with the actor, sharing every scandalous detail. A lot of people were shocked to hear about this whole affair, but eventually Jude came clean to the public about everything and issued an apology to Sienna. He ruined his marriage to be because he decided to cheat, so that's pretty unfortunate that their marriage ended before it even began. At number 2, Madonna and Guy Ritchie. This relationship was one of the most toxic, both while they were together and especially afterwards. Madonna and Guy Ritchie have been divorced for over 10 years, but just because their marriage ended so long ago, that doesn't necessarily mean that their hatred towards one another has ended. The two were married for almost a decade, but their distaste for one another has lasted much longer, and because of this negativity, they no doubt regret ever getting married in the first place. This relationship is a case of both parties playing a part in destroying it because they both brought up their own levels of toxicity and it just blew up in their faces. It seemed like their marriage turned sour because Madonna was working so hard on her career, so things became strained between them and the hostility began to grow. Coming out of the divorce, the worst of it started to come out. Guy made a lot of harsh comments about his marriage to Madonna, comparing his relationship with the singer to a soap opera, and also said that she was more concerned about her public image than she was with the marriage. Madonna also fired back at her ex in the past, saying that she felt like she was incarcerated during their marriage and that Guy was nothing but a gold digger. There was just a whole lot of drama there, which really shows that they weren't a good match at all. And finally at number 1, Tiger Woods. After his 2009 bombshell cheating scandal, Tiger Woods' relationship with his wife completely crumbled and the whole world watched it happen. It all started after Tiger crashed his Cadillac into a fire hydrant, and this incident made headlines, but it also drew attention to another headline that he had made days earlier after tabloids published a story alleging that Tiger was having an affair with a nightclub manager. Soon the focus switched from the crash to this affair drama, and one alleged affair turned into many more as 6 women ended up coming forward saying that they had also had intimate relationships with the golfer. Soon his marriage crumbled and he lost everything he had worked for, both in his personal life and also in his career.
Starting us off at number 10, we have Pamela Anderson. The second half of this marriage, Kid Rock, may have similar feelings, but Pamela has opened up about the marriage more than he has. Their marriage is famously known because it happened suddenly on a huge yacht in St. Tropez back in 2006. Their first engagement was called off in 2003, and then 3 years later they got married in July on a boat. The yacht party was a huge success, but their marriage was not. It was actually very short-lived. Pamela filed for divorce in November of 2006, and it was finalized in 2007. Back in 2018, she spoke candidly about their past marriage during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. She admitted that she never spoke to him again after their split. For her, it was kind of like an out of sight, out of mind thing. Let's pretend it never happened. She does admit the wedding shouldn't have happened, but does not slam him personally for anything. Rumors actually went around saying that the Borat movie was the cause of their divorce because Pamela had a cameo in it and apparently Kid Rock was mad. However, those two did shut those rumors down quickly. So if you see that on the web, it's not true. Moving on to number 9, we have Renee Zellweger. Maybe it's just me, but I'm always surprised when I read about her marriage to Kenny Chesney because it seems so random to me. Like, I always forget that they were married. They first met back in January of 2005 at NBC's Concert of Hope Tsunami Telethon. Reports say Renee told Jay Leno that there weren't any sparks between the two of them that night, but they still exchanged phone numbers. Sparks must have grown between them because they dated shortly after, and only a few months after dating, they got married. Their wedding was on May 9th, 2005 in the US Virgin Islands, where they invited 45 close friends and family members. Although it was a beautiful wedding, their marriage did not last long and came to an end just 4 months later in September. Renee filed for an annulment and cited fraud as the reason. That statement spread like wildfire and everyone was throwing shade at Kenny Chesney. But Renee came to his rescue saying, I quote, "Fraud is simply language and is not a reflection of Kenny's character." I feel like she should have clarified that, like, in the beginning, or maybe just filed for, like, irreconcilable differences or something like that. Like, why file for fraud? In spot number 8, we have Nikki Hilton and Todd Andrew Meester. Another marriage that you might have forgotten ever happened. Nikki was young and in love when they got married, but she is the first to agree that the marriage never should have happened in the first place. They were actually in Vegas when they made the impulsive decision to tie the knot, but their marriage only lasted 85 days. They got married in August 2004, and in November 2004, it was announced that a Las Vegas judge granted them an annulment. One of the couple's representatives released a statement saying both parties have ended the marriage amicably and they remain good friends. Nikki was only 21 years old at the time and Todd was 33, but they did remain on good terms until they eventually moved on and just met other people. So let's just pretend it never happened. Moving on to number 7, we have Britney Spears. Maybe you forgot the time that she got married to a childhood friend of hers, Jason Alexander. Back in 2004, the two of them got married in Las Vegas and set the record for one of the shortest marriages in history. Worse than Kim and Chris. They were married for just 55 hours before Britney called it off and filed for an annulment. It all began and ended on New Year's in 2004 when she invited him to Las Vegas to celebrate the new year. Jason spoke about their relationship in 2012 and revealed that they had been childhood friends for many years, but that they were friends with benefits as they got older. So how did that turn into marriage? He said that they were very intoxicated when they jokingly said that they should get married that night. But Jason did have feelings for her behind closed doors, and so he went with it because he liked her. He said, "I went with my feelings. I was in love with her. I feel like she felt the same way." However, Britney did not feel the same way, and her annulment papers said, lacked understanding of her actions to the extent that she was incapable of agreeing to the marriage. Jason admitted that he was actually hurt by her words and her decision to end the marriage so quickly. Next up at number 6, we have Carmen Electra and Dennis Rodman. We're not totally sure who regrets it more, but their wedding has been remembered as one of the most strange and sudden circumstances in Hollywood gossip history. The two of them got married in Las Vegas on November 14th, 1998, after what people described as an all-night bender. Well, that is the ingredient to a successful marriage. An all-night bender. Only 9 days later, Dennis filed for an annulment and claimed that he was deeply intoxicated at the time and was not in the right state of mind to make that decision. For a brief period of time, it seemed like they had reconciled and tried to work things out. They were seen together in public in early 1999, but by March of that year, they had filed for divorce, which resulted in their marriage only lasting less than 6 months. After the divorce, they moved on to other relationships. Yeah, don't get married drunk. Don't do it.
At number 5, Wiz Khalifa and Amber Rose. Sometimes when people look back on their failed relationships with regret, it's because they have bad blood and wish they never welcomed this person into their lives. But for others, their regrets are circumstantial. This is sort of how Amber Rose felt after her divorce from rapper Wiz Khalifa. The two were married in 2013, but after 14 months of marriage, they divorced, and it was a nasty breakup. There were allegations of cheating, and the custody of their son was also up for debate. Years later, Amber Rose opened up about her brief marriage to Wiz Khalifa and spoke out about her regrets concerning their relationship. In an interview, she said how she regretted getting married when she did because they didn't give themselves enough time to grow in their relationship. Amber also said that she felt as though they would have had a more successful marriage if they got married later in life, calling their wedding a mistake at the time. Luckily, following their explosive divorce, things settled for them and they became good friends, and that just seems to be enough for them.
Sliding into number 4, we have Elizabeth Moss. We only know that she feels sour about her marriage to Fred because she called it traumatic, awful, and horrible. All words you never really want to hear when describing a relationship. The Handmaid's Tale actress got married to Fred in October 2009, but they ended their relationship just 8 months later in the summer of 2010. The two of them met when she was a guest on Saturday Night Live, where Fred had worked at the time. The divorce was filed for irreconcilable differences, but Fred later on admitted that he had been a terrible husband. Those were actually his words, not mine. During a 2012 interview, she spoke about him and said, "One of the greatest things I heard someone say about him is he's so great at doing impersonations. But the greatest impersonation he does is that of a normal person." To me, that sums it up. It wasn't the first time she actually spoke about her horrible experience being married to him. However, he has always taken responsibility for that. Up next, number 3, we have Jennifer Esposito. She was married to Bradley Cooper for just 4 months back in 2007 and addressed details of their split in her 2014 book called Jennifer's Way. The actress talked about her failed marriage and threw plenty of shade at her ex. In her book, she talked about their relationship and said she ignored all the red flags that were there from the beginning, which we often do. She said he was funny, smart, cocky, arrogant, and a master manipulator. I didn't necessarily find him that attractive, but I figured that I could enjoy his sense of humor and nonsense for a while. Yikes. Bradley Cooper's hot, just saying. They were only dating for months before they got engaged and then tied the knots just 2 months later. 4 months after becoming husband and wife, she filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. It seemed like she regretted it right away because in her book, she described the red flags as storming in like a marching band. Sniping our number 2 spot is Nicolas Cage and Lisa Marie Presley. Some people might argue that Lisa was the one who had more regret because she actually ended an engagement to someone else when she met Nicolas at a party. Whoa. She was engaged to John Ozakia in 2000, but ended their engagement to be with the actor. Their relationship moved very quickly, and she was engaged once again, but to Nicolas not too long after calling off her previous engagement. They were officially married on August 10th, 2002, but Nick filed for divorce on November 25th, 2002, just a few months after. So maybe he is more regret if he was the one who filed for divorce. When asked about the divorce at the time, he said they should have never been married in the first place. So that says a lot. I think they both have regrets. In our number 1 spot is Cher and Greg Allman. Their marriage is one that went down in history, and although there may have been some regrets at the time, Cher will always have a place for him in her heart. The two of them got married back in 1975, but separated just over a week later. They ended up getting back together and tried to work on the relationship, but when they were on the verge of an official divorce, she found out that she was actually pregnant with their son Elijah. Their marriage eventually did come to an end, and Cher revealed that his heroin and alcohol addiction was just too much for her to handle. She admitted that when she called him to say the relationship was over, he actually couldn't understand what she was saying. She said, I quote, "He was so high he didn't even understand me." Sadly, Greg passed away in 2017, but Cher tweeted out her condolences.
In at number 10, Kris Humphries and Kim Kardashian. This is the wedding that no one's going to forget because after everything leading up to the union, it only lasted a measly 72 days. The reality TV star and basketball player seemed madly in love, and the couple documented basically their entire relationship on Kim's reality TV show, along with their lavish wedding ceremony. However, there was a lot of tension between the couple during the filming of their wedding process, leading some to think their days were numbered. And since they divorced only 72 days later, those people were right. Following the split, many people thought the marriage was just a publicity stunt. That rumor got so big that Humphries actually used the theory in his divorce proceedings. The divorce was so messy that it wasn't finalized until over 2 years later. In at number 9, Drew Barrymore and Tom Green. Drew Barrymore and Tom Green split after only 5 months of marriage, and usually when marriages last only a few months, there's a lot of bad blood between the former couple. But thankfully with these two, that's not the case. They even made a point to tell their fans not to go after their former partners. Both Green and Barrymore released statements praising their former spouses, proving that it is possible to remain civil after marriage. Green said about Barrymore, quote, "Drew is a wonderful woman. I love her very much. I wish our marriage could have worked out. I wish her much happiness." In at number 8, Nicolas Cage and Lisa Marie Presley. This marriage got even more attention than the usual celebrity weddings because Elvis's only daughter, Lisa Marie, was getting married. The couple even paid homage to Presley's late father and got married on the 25th anniversary of his passing in 2002. However, everyone was heartbroken when the couple announced that they would be divorcing only 3 months later. At the time, both parties were incredibly secretive about the reasoning for the split. Cage even said, quote, "I did not talk about the marriage and I'm not going to talk about the divorce." Years later, it was clear the marriage was probably just too fast, and the pair didn't think it through. Presley said later on, quote, "I'm sad about this, but we shouldn't have been married in the first place."
At number 7, Kevin Hunter Sr. Back in 2019, talk show host Wendy Williams told her audience that she had been cheated on and exposed her husband for having a huge affair. Her 20-year marriage to Kevin Hunter was destroyed after he was accused of not only cheating on Wendy, but also fathering another woman's child. When reports broke of Kevin's affair with his massage therapist, revealing that his mistress had given birth to their child, Wendy finally said enough is enough and called it quits on their marriage. When speaking out about the whole affair, Wendy said, quote, "Look, my husband had a full baby with a woman he was involved with for 15 years. Infidelity is one thing, a full baby is a whole nother topic. A baby. I'm not changing Pampers. I want to be pampered. I learned from my mother to make lemons into lemonade. What am I supposed to do? Stay in the house and cry all day?" End quote. Following this explosive divorce, Kevin issued an apology to his wife where he said, quote, "I'm not proud of my recent actions and take full responsibility and apologize to my wife, my family, and her amazing fans. I'm going through a time of self-reflection and am trying to right some wrongs." End quote. I couldn't imagine being caught in something as dramatic and emotionally painful as what Wendy went through with her ex-husband, so I feel for her.
And at number 6, Nikki Hilton and Todd Andrew Meester. This couple is another one that had a quickie Vegas wedding and soon regretted it. The two married in 2004 in a ceremony ceremony that was at 2:30 a.m. And if you listen to Ted Mosby, you know that nothing good happens after 2 a.m. I personally live by that rule. Her sister Paris Hilton was in attendance, and Jeff Beecher was the best man. Beecher spoke about the ceremony days after, saying, quote, "It was a beautiful small wedding with an amazing energy. The two of them are very much in love." However, their love didn't last, and the couple got their wedding annulled just before 3 months of marriage.
At number 5, Brad Pitt. The last few marriages Brad Pitt has been in have not been the most successful, and he's kind of to blame. Before Brad and Angelina were able to take Hollywood by storm as a power couple, Brad and Jennifer Aniston were a thing, and they had a good thing going for a while until infidelity came in and ruined things. The couple got married in 2000 in a ceremony in Malibu, but come 2005, things started to break down. Brad and Angelina met while working on the film Mr. and Mrs. Smith in the summer of that year, and Brad fell hard for Angie. There was some cheating involved, and eventually Brad and Jen split up, making room for Angelina to enter the picture. Fast forward about a decade and the couple got married, only to divorce shortly after that because of some family drama among other things. Brad seems to be really good at destroying his marriages, and honestly that's not a good talent to have.
And at number 4, Renee Zellweger and Kenny Chesney. This couple decided to get an annulment 4 months after the wedding, and at the time the split raised a lot of questions about Chesney's sexual orientation. However, both partners denied this. Zellweger filed for divorce on September 15th of 2005, citing fraud as the reason for the split, raising even more eyebrows. However, she later said the fraud claim was just a lie to have the annulment go through. When asked about the marriage and divorce years later, Zellweger said, quote, "I forgot about that. It's a pretty big thing to forget, isn't it? That made me sad," adding that it made her sad that a personal decision between the two of them could spark those kind of rumors.
At number 3, Prince Charles. Even though they were the world's most popular couple at one time, Prince Charles and Princess Diana had plenty of problems, and most of those problems stemmed from Prince Charles. For years, people had been aware of Charles's love triangle between Diana and Camilla Parker Bowles, and this very love triangle is what ultimately caused their marriage to fail miserably. She was always the second best in Charles's eyes, having never gotten over his infatuation for Camilla, a woman that he was told he could never have. Charles and Diana got married in 1981 and had 2 kids together, but because of Charles's extramarital affairs and Diana's unhappiness in the relationship, they got divorced in 1996. Diana said that she regretted marrying Charles because she always knew that there would always be 3 in the marriage: her, Charles, and Camilla. She certainly deserved so much better, but got Charles instead. But even though she didn't feel the love from her husband, she did feel the love from the rest of the world.
And at number 2, Cher and Greg Allman. Cher and Greg Allman got married in 1975, only days after her divorce from Sonny was finalized, but the union only lasted 10 days before Cher decided to file for divorce, citing Allman's substance issues as part of the reason why. But that was not the end of their time together. After their divorce, the couple decided to get back together shortly after and remarried, but they were about to split again until Cher realized that she was pregnant with their son, Elijah Blue Allman. The couple only stayed together for a few months longer until they split for good in 1977. During their time together, they made an album called To the Hard Way. And at number 1, Ali Landry and Mario Lopez. Ali Landry and Mario Lopez got married in 2004, but it started off on a horrible note because Lopez had been with another woman just days before, clearly not interested in getting married. However, instead of coming clean and admitting to the cheating before the wedding, Lopez decided to pretend it didn't happen. But the truth always comes out, and after Landry found out about the cheating, she filed for an annulment. This took place 18 days after the wedding. Lopez discussed the wedding more on the Howard Stern show, saying, quote, "At that point I was not ready to settle down. I wasn't man enough to know how to go about handling it." But things worked out well for the couple, and they're both happily married just to other people now.
At number 10, Brody Jenner and Caitlyn Carter. Reality stars Brody Jenner and Caitlyn Carter had a short-lived marriage that lasted just over a year, and though they've been together since 2013, marriage seemed to be one of their most regrettable decisions as a couple. Not because it was toxic, but because it just wasn't right for them. Technically, they weren't even legally married, but they saw themselves as married, so I guess that's just good enough for me. The couple saw themselves as best friends and made their bond stronger after getting married in Indonesia in 2018 before splitting in the summer of 2019, but it seems that during this time they were having second thoughts about their commitments to one another. Caitlyn wrote about her thoughts around her relationship with Brody, where she said that she started wondering early on whether he was really the right partner for her. Caitlyn also said that they did a lot of growing apart during the first year of marriage, and they both knew that things just weren't working out. There were a number of reasons why their marriage didn't work out, like their personal journeys and even their work environment, saying that working on the hills wasn't good for them. Bottom line here is that sometimes even marrying your best friend can have its faults. At number 9, Eminem and Kim Scott. Rapper Eminem, aka Marshall Mathers, and ex-wife Kim Scott had a rocky relationship from the very beginning. They met in the late 80s when Marshall was 15 and Kim was 13. They lived together at his family home and later began a romantic relationship, moving in together and having a daughter. After years of being an on and off again couple, the two got married just before Marshall's first major tour. But it was then that Kim saw Marshall and their relationship without her rose-colored glasses, and where she began to regret her marriage to the rapper. Kim said that after the tour, Marshall got a big ego and started treating her as someone who was not worthy of his love and presence since he was such a big star. Kim also alleged that her husband had been cheating on her. The rapper's career had a very negative impact on their relationship, and so 2 years after tying the knot, they got divorced. They eventually tried things again in 2006, but that didn't even last the whole year. Before I continue on with the video, please do consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. We love seeing you guys support the channel, so go and smash that thumbs up button. At number 8, Vanessa Morgan and Michael Kovac. Now, there isn't much information out there about these two, but I'm going to include it because I want to hear your thoughts on this. Riverdale actress Vanessa Morgan and Chicago White Sox pitcher Michael Kovac had a very short-lived marriage, but no one really knows for sure why that is. I would imagine that both parties regretted their wedding because of how things ended so quickly and how publicized everything was, but it's still a mystery as to why they called it quits. The two got married in early January 2020, but just 6 months later, they were done. News broke of their split just 3 days after Vanessa announced that she was pregnant with the couple's first child, and some even speculated that Michael filed for divorce because the baby wasn't his, but that was proven wrong as representatives from both parties confirmed that Michael was the father. There were also rumors that Michael had cheated, but again, nothing has been confirmed. Looking at the past few years that Michael has had, having gone through an injury that prevented him from playing in 2019, to the pandemic pushing back the 2020 baseball season, maybe this just took a toll on Michael in a way that we might not understand. On the bright side, the two seem to be co-parenting following the birth of their son River, so maybe they're just better off as friends.
In spot number 7, we have Amelia Warner. Out of anyone on this list, she probably has the least amount of regret, only because her marriage to Colin Farrell may not actually have been legally binding. Amelia was only 19 years old at the time when she married Colin during a ceremony on a Tahiti beach. It was back in 2002 that their unexpected marriage happened. But one thing that wasn't so surprising was the fact that it did not last very long. No offense to them. Just 4 months after they tied the knot, they called it off. But Amelia has always talked about it and demands that the wedding was not actually real, despite some people not believing her. During an interview in 2011, she said, "We didn't actually get married. It's not actually true. I think we've been too polite to deny it. We had a ceremony on a beach in Tahiti that was by no means legal and we knew it wasn't. It was just a thing we did on holiday. We booked them on the activities desk at the hotel." Regardless of the marriage or not marriage, she said it was still heartbreaking when the relationship ended. What a weird thing to do on vacation. Let's go get married.
At number 6, Sinead O'Connor and Barry Harridge. If you tallied a list of celebrities who've had the shortest marriages, singer-songwriter Sinead O'Connor is definitely up there. Her 2011 marriage to Barry Harridge was very short-lived, having only lasted 18 days. Officially. News broke of their split from her new husband just a few weeks after having tied the knot, when she issued a personal statement addressing her decision to end their marriage. In her statement, she revealed that though she wanted to keep her relationship troubles a secret, she was being forced to open up over fears of being exposed, and so she revealed that because of family turmoil over their recent wedding, she and Barry would be separating. Sinead revealed that her marriage was already being sabotaged by those close to Barry just 3 hours after the ceremony, and that she was making the decision to separate for Barry's own good, saying, quote, "It became apparent to me that if he were to stay with me, he would be losing too much to bear," end quote. For a marriage to tank so quickly and to have to say goodbye to your partner like that must be very hard, and it's probably something that they wish they didn't have to go through.
Halfway through our list at number 5, we have Drew Barrymore. The actress has been in the Hollywood spotlight since a very young age, and at 19 years old, she jumped into a marriage with Jeremy Thomas, who was 31 years old at the time. Their marriage is also one of the shortest marriages in history, only lasting a couple of days. Drew has openly talked about the marriage and divorce and said, "I realized my mistake on the day that I married him. It wasn't because she didn't love him though. Their relationship moved very quickly and she was also very young. Just 6 months into dating, they decided to get married very spontaneously. They were partying with a group of friends at 4 a.m. when the conversation came up that they should get married because they were so in love at the time. Jeremy arranged a 24-hour minister to perform the ceremony at 5:30 a.m. that same morning. They changed their outfits quickly and had their little ceremony on the roof of a bar. The next day, Drew actually had to leave to film Boy on the Side, and they were supposed to go to Hawaii for their honeymoon afterwards, after she was done filming. Jeremy revealed that Drew ended up going to Hawaii alone and then called him while she was there and ended things. Yikes.
At number 4, Jennifer Lopez and Ojani Noah. Singer Jennifer Lopez is no stranger to walking down the aisle. She's been married 3 times already, but the one relationship she regrets the most is her first marriage to Ojani Noah. Their relationship lasted less than a year, but their tumultuous relationship after their divorce has lasted much longer. It seems as though their relationship was destined to fail, as Ojani documented a lot of JLo's life behind the scenes, later saving it for his own tea spill. Noah tried leaking videos of the couple's honeymoon after their divorce, showing the singer in an intimate setting, and in years since he has been very outspoken about the singer, her career, and even had plans to release a tell-all book about his ex, followed by a movie deal. Talk about petty. JLo actually ended up suing Ojani in 2009 for $10 million, citing that the videos he released as well as the book and movie deals violated an agreement that they had made, which prohibited him from exposing the singer's life. Jennifer now looks back on this relationship with regret and doesn't even count her relationship to Ojani as valid because of how short it was.
In our 3rd spot is Pamela Anderson and Rick Solomon. I am sorry, Pam, you are on this list twice because you've had a handful of marriages and divorces. I'm sorry. However, this one has a happier ending. Yay! The two of them have actually been married a couple of times. They got married back in 2007, but it was annulled just 1 year later in 2008. Then they got married again a decade later in 2014, but divorced just a year later in 2015. So to say that they have had a rocky relationship would be an understatement. But in recent years, he began telling media outlets that he wanted to get married to her again. And they did! That is right, this past December of 2020, they said I do for a 3rd time in Las Vegas. The marriage wasn't very conventional as it took place during an hour-and-a-half break she had between her magic shows. It was a very quick and small ceremony. When asked why they got married once again, sources close to them say they really are in love and have remained friends for the last 15 years, despite their first 2 marriages not working out.
At number 2, Lena Waithe and Alana Mayo. Screenwriter Lena Waithe and ex-wife Alana Mayo surprised fans when they announced that they had gotten married in a private and secret ceremony that was a spur-of-the-moment decision, but just 2 months later they announced their separation. In a joint statement to their supporters, the couple announced that they would be splitting up, and so as fans do, they speculated as to why they ended their relationship so quickly. Rumors that Lena had been unfaithful started swirling, and some sources even said that their relationship had been rocky even before they got married. According to some, Lena and Alana's wedding came after multiple cases of cheating, and that even after their wedding, Lena was still buying expensive gifts for other women. Allegedly, this was all too much for Alana to handle, and so they called it quits. There must be some regret regarding this marriage because they allegedly weren't ready to settle down because of the instability of their relationship. And finally at number 1, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Of all the biggest Hollywood couples, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie were no doubt one of the most famous. The couple, who had been together for over a decade and who adopted many children together, seemed to be a picture-perfect and beloved family unit, and so when they announced that they had gotten married in 2014, fans were thrilled. So many fans had been waiting for this moment, and so when it finally came, it was big news. Bigger news, however, came 2 years later in 2016 when Angie filed for divorce. There were apparently a lot of reasons for their divorce. Their relationship dynamic had allegedly been thrown off after tying the knot because of the pressure to be completely faithful to one another since they had been in an open relationship prior, and the biggest reason for their split came after Brad had an altercation with their oldest son Maddox, which prompted Angie to reevaluate their relationship. This relationship lasted a long time before getting married, so maybe if that didn't happen, things would have been different.